guys, Work here, welcome back to the bench. It's finally time to tell you guys about the project that we've got coming up. Now that project has to do with this, my CZ SP-01 Tactical. If you guys have watched the channel for a little while, you know that this last year, I did my first ever USPSA competition, and I loved it. It was awesome, and I want to keep doing it. Now the gun that I ran the last time was my Glock 19. At the time, I could just shoot it a little bit more consistent, but I've been busting my butt getting my skills with my CZs and my SP-01 and my P-01 up to par with that of my 19. And I finally feel like I'm at the point now where my skill level with these is the same as with my 19. So this next year, when I start doing USPSA again, I'm going to run this, my SP-01 Tactical, instead of my 19. Now, in that same line of thought, I've picked a couple of items here that I'm going to do to upgrade my SP-01 Tactical. Now, you've already seen the gold front sight from CZ Custom. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I'm going to keep that on there. I don't know if I like it or not yet. I was really hoping that dot was going to be a little bit bigger. Really, it's slightly smaller than the standard dots on the Tactical, but I have had it out a couple of times, and it does make for a little bit quicker site acquisition. So we'll run it this next year and we'll kind of see how it goes. The other modifications are all aimed towards trigger pull. And I've got a combination of parts from CZ Custom, from Cajun Gunworks, and an awesome Facebook user from one of the CZ Facebook sites. So let's start off with our parts here. So this is kind of my spare part little tin here that I've got for my CZs. I've got, old sights here, P-01 sights, P-07 sights, the front sight to my tacticals in here. I've got trigger components from my P-07 here, from the build that you can see on my page. I'll put a link to that up here. And so far, this is my little spot for my SP-01 modifications. So, first up here, we've got a 85 combat trigger. Now, this was actually given me to a guy on Facebook. His name is Scotty B. I'll just say B. I don't know if he wants his last name blast all over here, but this guy was awesome. I don't even remember what happened. He gave this to me a couple of months ago. We were talking on somebody's post, and I had mentioned that I wanted one, and he got a hold of me and said that he had one. He didn't prefer it and offered to send it to me for nothing. That's right, he sent me this thing for free. So we're going to toss this in the SP-01. Now, the two major things that I know about this trigger, as opposed to the stock, it does have a slight geometry change in the curve here, and it's got an over travel stop here. So this is going to be an interesting little modification. So we also have the CZ Custom decocker hammer. Now, I was guided to the CZ Custom version over the Cajun Gunworks version by the Humble Marksman. Now, I've mentioned him on my channel before. He does competitive shooting. He knows CZs, and I've talked to him quite a bit about the modifications that I was getting for this gun. So thanks, Humble Marksman, for kind of guiding me, helping me to pick out exactly what we're doing to this thing, including this, the CZ Custom decocker hammer. Now, a couple of the things that I like about this. Obviously, the overall shape. I love the squared-off hammers. I'm not a big fan of the round hammers that originally come on them. In addition to that, this is going to give us a cleaner break and should lighten up the pull a little bit. So moving on from there, we've got our haul that came in from Cajun Gunworks. Now, from Cajun Gunworks, we've got a number of things. We've got the short reset system, which includes an elongated firing pin, a lightweight hammer spring, a new safety plunger arm, a new safety plunger spring, a firing pin return spring, and a new firing pin retaining pin. So along with that, I also got the Type 2 disconnector. Now, I did call Cajun Gunworks, and they assured me that this would work with the CZ Custom hammer. I know that sometimes those things kind of interact weird and differently, but they told me it should work. I also got a floating trigger pin. Now, you'll notice I am not getting a reduced power trigger spring for this setup. So I do want a lighter trigger pull, but I don't want the single action trigger pull to be drastically, crazy light. We'll kind of see how it goes. I mean, my goal is to get the double action trigger pull down underneath 8 pounds. I would like it between 6 and 7 pounds. We'll see if I can pull that off without replacing that spring, but this floating trigger pin will help us a lot with that, because this is going to make removal and installation of that spring way easier in the future. So I also got 2 of their number 9 hammer pivot pins. These are the pins that actually hold the hammer on, and I didn't realize until now that I actually only needed one of those, because the disconnector actually comes with its own. So it does look like a different style. This looks hardened, and the 2 that I got, the number 9s, do not look hardened, but I guess we'll see about that when we start putting things together. And then the last thing that I got is their decocker installation kit. So basically, this is just a really nice heavy steel starter punch, and then a slave pin to hold the sear cage and the decocker setup together while you're pulling everything out. I guess these decockers can be real pain in the butt. Their sear cage has a lot going on in there, so getting that slave pin to put in there really helps. So that's it as far as the upgrades go. It's not a whole lot of change. I don't feel like this gun needs a whole lot of work. I'm already relatively accurate with it, but I really wanted to do 2 things. I wanted to get some trigger work done to it, and I just wanted to get something done to it. I love doing this kind of work, and I'm really looking forward to this project. Now, unfortunately, this project isn't happening right away. It is going to take me a little bit of time, and there's two reasons for that. Reason number one, obviously the way that I do this, I like to get like a stock trigger pull on these. If I get my little trigger pull gauge out here, we are at half cock, chamber is empty, and let's go ahead and pull back and see what our trigger pull weight is. And if you can see that, we are well bottoming out my trigger pull gauge, and we haven't even started moving the hammer yet. So problem number one is that I can't get an accurate trigger pull weight with my gauge. My gauge only goes up to 8 pounds. I hear that these things go like right around 12 pounds, and to me, knowing that baseline is really important. And the second reason that we're not getting it done right away is because while we're doing this work to it, I'm actually going to have the frame Cerakoted. Now I'm bouncing between two different colors. I'm bouncing between gunmetal gray and tungsten. I really like both of those. I want it to be a dark gray color. All of the accessories are still going to remain black, so I want the gray to be nice and dark to get a decent contrast in there. So that's the other reason why it's not going to get done right away. I'm still waiting on my sample of tungsten to be able to compare the two side by side and really get an idea of which one I like. Now, one problem that this does bring up is, you'll notice my 85 combat trigger here is silver, and that's just not going to do. So we're going to see about using some like acrylic paint or something, trying to get it cleaned up, spray acrylic paint on there, and see if that holds up to the hustle and bustle of being a competition gun. So that's it for this time, guys. Remember, if you found this video useful, go ahead and like and subscribe down below. If there's anything that you think that I've missed with my modification list here, go ahead and write that in the comments below. Keep an eye out, because I'm hoping to get this started here in the next couple of weeks, which puts you guys probably at seeing this in 3 or 4 weeks or so. So keep an eye on those updates. I am going to try to split up the disassembly of this. I'll put out a big video that has it all done, and then I'm going to try to split it up so that if anybody is doing work to their CZ and they need to see just a small portion of the disassembly process, they can quick just open that particular video and be right where they need to be. So keep an eye out for that. Remember, guys, I appreciate every one of you, and until next time, do your research, get informed, and get to work.